jailed for 20 years. For a crime that never happened. On June 14, 1998, a man was convicted for a murder that never took place. No body, no weapon, no crime. Before all of this, Michael Harris was a man defined by his devotion to family and community. Born and raised in a small Texas town, he was the kind of person who greeted strangers with a smile and remembered the names of every kid on his son's baseball team. He worked long hours at the local hardware store, often staying late to help customers who couldn't afford the tools they needed. At church on Sundays, he sang in the back row, his deep voice carrying through the room. He had never been in trouble with the law, never even received a speeding ticket. Life was simple, predictable, and good, until one phone call changed everything. One humid evening in late July, police received an anonymous tip. The caller claimed that Michael had confessed to killing a local drifter during a bar fight. The story was vague, full of holes, and impossible to verify. There was no missing person report, no eyewitnesses, no physical evidence. But detectives, under pressure to solve a string of unrelated cases, decided to pursue it. They called Michael in for questioning. At first, he thought it was a misunderstanding, something that could be cleared up in minutes. He walked into the station without a lawyer, confident that the truth would prevail. But the questions kept coming. Why was he at the bar that night? Who did he speak to? Did he get into an argument? Detectives twisted his words, picking apart every detail until even Michael began to feel like he was on trial. A week later, he was arrested. The state's case rested entirely on the word of a jailhouse informant, a man facing decades in prison for burglary and assault, who claimed Michael had confessed to the murder while they shared a holding cell. The informant's story was the only thread holding the case together, but prosecutors treated it as gospel. The trial began in the fall. Inside the courtroom, Michael sat at the defense table in a borrowed suit, watching as the prosecution painted him as a violent drunk with a hidden temper. They spoke of a secret life, imaginary fights, grudges, and rage simmering beneath the surface. The defense, underfunded and overwhelmed, struggled to counter the narrative. It took the jury less than 3 hours to reach a verdict: guilty of murder. The judge sentenced him to 40 years in prison. As the gavel came down, Michael's hands went cold. He looked into the gallery, searching for the faces of his children. His daughter was crying. His son couldn't even look at him. Prison life was brutal. The days bled into each other. Concrete walls, steel bars, the constant noise of shouting and slamming doors. Michael worked in the laundry room, folding uniforms for men who called him killer. Nights were the worst, when the weight of the silence made him relive every detail of the trial, wondering how the truth could be so easily ignored. But outside those walls, his family never gave up. His sister, Carla, became his fiercest advocate. She spent years writing letters to innocence projects, investigative journalists, and governors. Most never replied. Some sent polite rejections. Still, she kept going. She visited him every month, always ending each visit with the same words: "I'm bringing you home." In 2015, her persistence paid off. A young law student named Jessica Lee picked up Michael's case for a class project. She combed through thousands of pages of trial transcripts and police reports. What she found was shocking. The jailhouse informant had struck a secret deal with prosecutors. His sentence reduced in exchange for testimony against Michael. It was a detail that had never been shared with the jury, a violation of the law and of Michael's right to a fair trial. Jessica gathered the evidence and presented it to the state. The process was slow, full of delays and appeals, but the truth was impossible to ignore. In 2018, after 20 long years, Michael's conviction was overturned. The state admitted they could not prove a crime had ever occurred. When he walked out of prison, the sun was brighter than he remembered. The air smelled different, almost sweet. His family was there, waiting, their arms open. But freedom came with its own kind of grief. His children were grown, living lives he had missed entirely. His parents had passed away while he was behind bars. The world had moved on without him. Michael tried to rebuild, but the scars of prison ran deep. He carried the weight of every year stolen from him, every birthday missed, every moment he could never get back. And yet, he spoke openly about his story, not to dwell on the pain but to warn others. If this could happen to Michael, a man with no record, no motive, and no evidence against him, it could happen to anyone. Share his story. Speak up. Because silence is how injustice survives.